My name is Valerie Theo. I am Michael's sister. I'm the oldest of 7.
My name is Vanessa Runner. I'm 35 and I work at the Parish Sheriff's Station. I've worked there for about 14 years. I'm currently a community service officer. When I started with the department, my dad, Dave Runner, also worked for the department.
My name is Connie Duke, and I've been with the department almost 15 years, and I'm currently assigned to the Hemet Station. I'm a community service officer assigned to the Investigation Bureau. As part of my duties, I register sex, gang, arson, and drug registrants. I go out on search warrants with investigators. I also do live scan appointments.
Anyone who knew Michael, they would say that Michael was a great person, right? But what a lot of them didn't know is that Michael had a really rough childhood. Abandoned at the age of 4 by his mother. Placed in my grandmother's custody temporarily. After several years, maybe 5 years, at the age of 9, Michael was placed in the custody of my mom again, and being that she was a crack addict, cocaine addict, she was not the best person to raise Michael. Michael witnessed and experienced a lot that a lot of children should not have to, or no children should have to. He experienced a lot of lonely nights, placed in the hands of strangers whenever my mother wasn't there. Michael wrote this email to Connie in reference to him wanting to be a lieutenant. He put 2 post 378 advisors, Explorer Michael Ojeda, referencing a promotion. Humble, having or showing a modest or low esteem of one's own importance. As the advisors in post 378 often tell me, this is a virtue I must obtain to become more successful in life. My goal in life is to be great in everything I do, and I have a purpose on doing so. In other words, being humble is going against my own integrity, my own moral principles. First, I would like to test for a lieutenant, would like to be given the opportunity to promote to be able to take more of a leadership role. Also obtain leadership skills by assuming this position. The only requirement I have not met was hold a sergeant rank for a year. I have been passionate in learning from the post. When I first arrived there, I told the advisors my goal is to obtain the best physical fitness award. I completed that goal. Over the course of a year, I have been in numerous ride-alongs, although I failed to document due to my incompetence. Explorer Michael Ojeda.
Michael joined our post. He was already a high school graduate. He was in college. He had 2 jobs. He worked hard. He worked really, really hard. He liked to be the best at everything, but he was pushing his limits. He was working, he was going to college. He had the 2 jobs, and then he was still doing explorers. He was going to the gym, spending time with his family.
Michael was also very stubborn. I'm sure Connie can tell you that he was very stubborn.
He was stubborn, very stubborn. There was a few times that we had to tell him, hey, you need to slow down a little bit. What sticks out about him, about Michael, is he questioned everything. He questioned everything. Everything that he was told, he would question. Why? Why can't I do it this way? Why can't I do it this way? I remember when Chad Bianco was in for his ceremony, because one of the things when you're standing at attention is we tell you, do not lock your legs. Never lock your legs. You need to have your knees slightly bent. And he would argue about it all the time. Why? Why can't I just keep my legs straight? And there was a girl that actually passed out from locking her knees. And I went up to him, right behind him. I go, see, that's why you don't lock your knees. And I had to explain the physiology behind it. And after that, he never locked his knees. He questioned everything. I mean, he was young. I understand that.
I was born with a genetic kidney disease, and growing up, my parents knew that someday I would have to have a kidney transplant. The day came that I needed it when I was 15, and luckily my sister was a match, and she donated a kidney to me. The average transplanted kidney lasts for about 15 to 18 years. Luckily, the kidney that I received for my sister lasted 18 years, but in the beginning of 2018, the doctor told me that I was going into kidney failure again. Initially, things seemed fairly slow moving and I felt okay, but around August is when things went downhill pretty quickly. Mentally and physically, I was always just so fatigued. Everything was a chore. Everything was difficult. I couldn't do things I could do before. I got very weak. I tried to put off dialysis for as long as I could because I was a little scared about it. I didn't have to go through dialysis with my first transplant. So in November, when I started getting to the point of nearly passing out frequently, they started giving me blood transfusions all the time. I had more blood transfusions than I could count. And finally in December, my doctor said I couldn't put off dialysis any longer. We put in a catheter and I started dialysis 3 times a week for 4 hours each time. While I was on dialysis, there were several different moving parts still going on. Several people got tested for me, and I got excited and hopeful several different times, but unfortunately, nobody was a match. And each time I found that out, it was a big letdown for sure. I was on the wait list through Loma Linda to receive a kidney, but a person with type O blood and being in Southern California, they said the wait was about 12 years. So if I didn't find a match on my own, I was going to have to be on dialysis for about 12 years. Being on dialysis was definitely not fun. I tried to make the best of it. I used to joke about going to Club De Vita every Friday, but it was really difficult.
So the morning that I got the news, I just was I was still in bed because I had a meeting later on and I didn't have to be at the meeting. So I was just kind of relaxing and I got a phone call and they said that Michael had possibly been in a car accident. I instantly jumped out of bed and started making phone calls, not only contacting the other advisors, contacting my chain of command. Got dressed immediately, went and picked up to one of the other advisors, was getting more information as it was progressing, more phone calls, confirming tattoos. We were pretty sure it was him by then, because I knew what his tattoos were, which I know is odd but that's what moms do. Moms know.
I was in Vegas at the time and my family was in LA. We had this relationship where, we kept in touch, not often, but we did. And it was always through text. And this time she was calling me and I just felt like, I don't know if it was something, but I felt like something was wrong. And she told me, like, you need to call me ASAP. Like, it's not okay. Like, she's like, because I'd asked her, is everything okay? She said, no, it's not okay. And so, I made it out of the meeting and at work, and I went into the elevator and she was calling me. She's like, you need to call me back. And then I called her and she's like, at the time we didn't know that he was in life support. She had just said, Michael passed away. Michael passed. And I was like, what? No, like, what do you mean? And she was like, Michael passed away, Valerie. Like, he got in a car accident. It's something really hard to hear because he was just there at my house recently in March for his birthday. So they were like, you need to hurry, you need to come here as soon as you can. And so, I made my way to Riverside. I lived in Vegas and I drove there. And just having to see him there on that bed is just like the hardest thing because, I never expected that to happen to Michael. He didn't deserve it. He deserved more.
It hadn't been confirmed, but it was believed that he was brain dead at that point.
I thought he didn't have anybody, But then when we met Connie and everybody at the hospital, we didn't know that he had that, with him. And so I kind of find peace in knowing that he did have somebody, he had a family with him. And I believe that Connie had such a big part in that, she was there, kind of mothered him, and he needed that. He really needed that. So I find comfort in knowing that somebody was there for him. He wasn't alone.
It was amazing to see the amount of family he had. And instantly, we were all just connected. And I was very grateful that they let me actually be part of different family meetings that went on, and when the doctors were explaining things and all that type of stuff. It was an honor.
We found out he was a donor because they had found his wallet, they found his ID, and through that they saw that he was an organ donor. When Michael passed, his mission didn't end there. We didn't know that he was an organ donor.
Both of the kidneys were spoken for. One was going to Michael's uncle, and then the other one was going to another person. I don't know if it was a stranger or who. So after the family notified me that the other person that was supposed to get the kidney wasn't a match, I got a hold of the person who had said that there was somebody that needed one.
Very early one morning in May, I received a phone call, and it was from Connie. I had never met her before. I had never heard of her before, but she said she worked for the department, and she told me what had happened with Michael. She also said that she had heard about me needing a kidney and that she had spoken to Michael's family and that they wanted me to have one of Michael's kidneys if we were a match. I don't know how Connie and Michael's family could have thought of someone else during this time. I can't imagine having such a big loss and still thinking of someone else. Connie said she needed me to fill out a form that the family would have to give to the doctors to allow me to receive Michael's kidney. Of course, my printer was broken at the moment, so I rushed into work as quick as I could and printed out the form, filled it out, and sent it back to Connie. That same night, I found out that Michael and I were a blood type match, and we just had to wait on the tissue typing to see if we were a match there. The tissue typing is actually the more important and the more difficult typing that they have to match. I did not get a lot of sleep that night, and I was on pins and needles the whole time. I went into work the next morning, and I got the call from Loma Linda while I was at work. And they said, miraculously, that Michael and I were a match, and that I would be checking into the hospital later that day for my transplant.
He got to give to somebody with the department that he was with. That's pretty awesome.
It was a surprise to us, but, he did just that. He saved people's lives. You know, his mission was fulfilled. He was able to serve to others.
I just hate that he can't be here now, you know? There's so many mixed emotions. I would hate... It was really hard at that time, too, because I just thought, I don't want anyone to think I'm trying to benefit from something so terrible, you know? And that's what it felt like. It felt like, this is selfish. I want Michael back. I want someone else to have to go so for me to be here, you know?
I don't know that I have said goodbye yet. I think about him all the time. I finally went up a couple weeks ago. I went up to his gravesite for the first time since we put him to rest, and it was definitely comforting being around his family. It made it a lot easier because I wasn't wanting to do it, but it definitely made it easier with his family there. So saying goodbye, I haven't said it yet.
You know, it definitely changed my mind, and it's something that I will do. I will become an organ donor just like my brother.
Thank you is such a small phrase, and it doesn't even begin to be enough. Nothing would ever be enough. I could never express how deep my gratitude is. I wish so much that I had met Michael, that I had known him. Obviously, he was amazing. And thank you for letting me have a little piece of him that I get to carry with me now.